Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure of mine to be here today before all of you. It's not really something that I really imagined I would ever be here in Union Square talking about, or ever even imagined that we'd have the pandemic here. But we have to pay close attention to what's actually going on through this pandemic or plandemic, whatever we're going to call it, because there's a lot been going on and facilitated with the usurpation of our rights, our God-given, unalienable, and constitutional rights. And one of the ways I've actually been meeting people in the past 2 years is through the child welfare system and the family court system. And there's not enough people that know about this, and by the time they know about it, it's often too late because social services is involved and there's massive federal incentives involved in this. So one of the ways that we can tie this all together, in case you believe that you will never be subjected to the maltreatment of social services, crooked lawyers, fake judges, and this whole conglomerate of bad actors, one included the Administration for Children's Services on 160 William Street, headed by David Hansel himself, is this New York State Bar mandated vaccination initiative. Yes, that's right. So it seems that the bar, and I'd ask you to do your homework when you get home and look up what that acronym actually means, the BAR. Please, that'll be a surprise for when you get home. And we'll question if we ever truly got our independence from Britain. We really need to take a stand right now, and the best way to utilize and facilitate that is by practicing civil disobedience. Okay? People in office are supposed to work for us.
That's right!
The issue at stake here is that there's a private side and a public side to everything. And what we see going on here is these people are truly not representative of our interests, but the interests of the private side. These foreign corporations, okay, that are acting as administrative agencies, usurping our rights, telling us what to do, and then you see a lot of children being stolen, okay? It's not a conspiracy theory. All right? We would ask whoever the president is, especially President Trump, that he really, take a stance and a posture against this human trafficking issue, because currently, as it stands, the war on human trafficking is not too convincing for me, since it's not addressing the pipeline into this. It's only addressing the tail end of the pipeline, which seems to be very lucrative. So, we have to really put all hands on deck right now. We understand that this is the issue that's causing maladaptive coping strategies, alcoholism, abuse, all sorts of issues. Now the issue is this: when we have these sorts of issues and domestic violence, like someone mentioned previously, these are supposed to be criminal penal code violations. So the court system that I just told you about, the family court system, they're trying to enforce criminal penal code violations, yet they're in a civil court. All right, and they're not doing you a favor either. But this right here is not a legitimate system whatsoever. It should not be considered part of any justice system at all whatsoever. And we need to wake up about it, because the thing is, this is not just with children. They're also taking the elderly. All right, adult protective services. We have a lot of fraud going on here in America. And see, the thing that I want to implore you guys to understand is that there's no way to reform fraud at all whatsoever. When you have a fraudulent system, you need to stop it. It needs to come to a screeching halt. I don't care if you're the left, the middle, or the right. This is all hands on deck. This is unifying. This COVID nonsense is going on way too long. And if you look up the Securities and Exchange Commission's Edgar database, which is a very useful tool when you're identifying these corporations who are running our country into the damn ground, like Maximus Incorporated, you'll understand that the information that's getting put out to the investors and shareholders is that the United States and other countries like Australia are going to remain heavily dependent on Maximus. Now, Maximus Incorporated is one of these corporations that's affiliated with Mr. George Soros himself. Yes. Thank you. And the thing is this guy has his hands in the child support system, which I'm going to tell you right now is not legitimate at all whatsoever, because no one knows about the matching funds that's going to the state from the federal government. All right, and these procedures lack due process of law. Just like we're seeing right now, there's no due process of law. And the excuse will be is that everyone's doing their job, and the only due process that you get is what's afforded to you as per the Family Court Act, or whatever these acts are that these people are trying to enforce on us, which are not law. Just like Governor Cuomo's mandate, his executive order, is not a law. And sorry, I truly apologize that I'm not a lawyer, all right, but there's a penal code that covers wearing masks in public, that it's supposed to be illegal, it's supposed to be a criminal offense. So now we're being told to break a law, which isn't really even a law, but we're told to break a penal code, commit a violation, and we see all that's being done through this, through the mask wearing. We have the inciting of violence, all right? I've been back and forth to D.C. many times with my team in the last few months, and we see how this is all going. Believe me, BLM brings up some valid arguments of the things that they address, like qualified immunity. Yes, that's something that needs to be addressed, not just with the NYPD. I'm interested with the social workers, okay? Because if the cops can't help us in this system, which I'll only be about one more minute or two, you know, you'll see once you get sucked into the family law system that the police cannot help you. They cannot do anything for you. And that's because they're being controlled by the members of the bar on the county levels. And if we believe that we're ever going to get a district attorney to hold anyone accountable committing crimes on behalf of the county, if we think that's ever going to happen, it's never going to happen. Because the counties are committing federal grant fraud. They're receiving all these incentives, and it's through the usurpation of your rights and the phony representation by lawyers who really don't fight in this system. They identify your assets and they prey upon your vulnerability and weakness. That's what they do. And they're doing that to the elderly, which disgusts me. And let's not forget that, you know, I'm not even convinced that we truly have COVID. I think that it might be just the flu, or we have pneumonia going around, and it's a false positive test. All right, because we know that a lot of these are faulty tests, just like the faulty voting system. Yeah! Right? Okay, thank you. So the thing is, I want to pay close attention to when I have my buddies go to the hospital. I've lost about 5 or 6 people now that I was dear friends with because of COVID. But my friends that did make it out alive out of these hospitals, they told me their story and their personal accounts of what happened to them when they were in the hospital, and that they were subjected to multiple COVID-19 tests. So it seems like they want to get that positive result, just like how the family courts are, you know, unlocking all of these federal grants. All right? It's all money, everything's incentivized with corrupt motives. And until we have transparency and accountability, we will not have any integrity in this state or in this country. And the last thing I'll leave off with you is pay attention to the difference between New York State and the state of New York. So I'll yield with that. Thank you for having me amongst you. God bless all of you.